Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to welcome you to today's presentation. Today, we're going to explore a very compelling story called The Lost Child. On this first slide, you see the title, which sets the tone for our journey ahead. We'll briefly touch on what this story is about and what you can expect to learn. So, let's get started and dive into this intriguing tale together. Let's take a closer look at the contents of this presentation. On this slide, we have a structured overview of what we'll be discussing. First, we'll start with about the author, giving some background that helps us understand the perspective behind the story. Next, we'll explore the central idea of the story, which is the core message or main point that ties everything together. Then, we'll look into the relevance of the title, understanding why it's significant and how it relates to the story's themes. Moving on, we'll analyze the content more deeply to see how the story is constructed and what techniques are used. After that, we'll identify the main theme of the story, which often reflects the underlying message or moral. We'll also consider the message, what the author wants us to take away from the story. Then, we'll do a character sketch, giving us insights into the key characters and their roles. Following that, we will look at asset questions, which are questions that help us think critically about the story. Finally, the assignment will be discussed, connecting all these elements to practical or reflective tasks. Overall, this slide provides a roadmap for our entire presentation, ensuring we cover all important aspects thoroughly and connect each point to the bigger picture of understanding the story. This organized approach will help us grasp not just the story itself, but its deeper meanings and implications. Let's start by talking about the author himself, Mulk Raj Anand. He was one of the first Indian writers to write in English, and he quickly gained recognition on an international level. His body of work is quite extensive, including short stories, novels, and essays, all of which reflect his deep engagement with social issues. Anand was born in Peshawar, and interestingly, his father was a coppersmith, which gives us a glimpse into his humble beginnings. He was highly educated, having graduated with honors from Punjab University and then furthering his studies at University College in London. This educational background played a significant role in shaping his literary career. Moving on to his notable works, Anand first became popular through his novels, Untouchable and Coolie. These works are important because they shed light on the struggles of marginalized communities in India. He also authored a trilogy, The Village, Across the Black Waters, and The Sword and the Sickle, which explores themes of social change and Indian identity. What makes Anand work particularly significant is his empathetic portrayal of ordinary Indian people. Through his stories, he offers powerful social commentaries on the societal structures that affect their lives. Because of this, Anand is often regarded as one of the founding figures of Indian English literature, helping to shape the way stories about India are told in the English language. This background and his notable contributions are essential to understanding his impact within our overall discussion of Indian literature. In this slide, I want to focus on the central idea of our story. The setting is a charming Indian village during the time of independence, which is a really meaningful period in history. It's set during springtime, a season that symbolizes renewal and new beginnings. This time of year was often marked by vibrant fairs, full of simple, joyful pleasures. You can imagine the sweetmeat sellers offering delicious treats, flower sellers brightening the streets, and even the snake charmers captivating audiences with their performances. There's also a balloon seller, adding a splash of color and excitement to the scene. What's really interesting is how the story vividly captures the modes of transportation of that era. You see people riding horses along the roads, which was quite common back then, and others traveling in bamboo and bullock carts. These details help us picture a time when life moved at a slower, more community-centered pace. Connecting all these points to our overall theme, this setting highlights the rich cultural tapestry and the simple pleasures that define that period. It reminds us of a time when festivals and daily life were intertwined, celebrating change and progress in a very human way. In this slide, I want to delve into the core theme of the story, the lost child. At its heart, the story explores the universal innocence and curiosity of a child, their desire to explore everything they see around them. You notice how everything captures the child's attention, from the toys on the street to the dragonflies in the mustard field, even the snake swaying to the tune of the snake charmer's pungi. It's as if the child's senses are alive and rejoicing in the wonder of being alive. However, the child's parents serve as a counterbalance. They try to make him abstain from these fleeting, illusionary attractions, almost as if they secretly know that what the child truly needs isn't just to indulge in these superficial pleasures. Instead, they subtly remind him, and us, that life requires learning to distinguish what is truly important. This theme ties directly into the overall message of the presentation, highlighting how, as we grow, we must learn to prioritize and focus on what truly matters in life, beyond the surface attractions. It's about understanding that sometimes, what we think we want isn't necessarily what we need most. Now, let's talk about the core message of this story. It really emphasizes that relationships are more valuable than material possessions. When the child is separated from his parents, he begins to understand their true worth, not through things, but through their presence and love. This highlights an important universal fear shared by both children and parents, the fear of being separated from one another. And through the child's eyes, we see how such a separation can be truly distressing and eye-opening. Overall, this slide reminds us that the strongest bonds we have are built on love and connection, not on material things. It's a powerful message about appreciating the people who matter most in our lives. Let's take a closer look at the relevance of the title. The title really captures the essence of the child's reactions to the world around him, both before and after he gets lost. It highlights a key moment in his life, a moment of separation during a fair. What's important here is how it reflects the child's feelings, his fears, anxieties, and worries, when he's so young and naturally fascinated by everything around him. When he's with his parents, he's curious and excited, eager to explore. But once he gets lost, that same fascination disappears, replaced by fear and confusion. This shift underscores how deeply his environment and experiences shape his emotional state. Connecting this to the overall theme, the title reminds us that childhood innocence is fragile, and that moments like these reveal the raw, honest reactions of a child facing the unfamiliar. It emphasizes the importance of understanding these emotional responses to better grasp how children perceive and react to their world. Now, let's delve into the content analysis of The Lost Child. This story beautifully highlights the innocence and curiosity of a young child. It begins with a simple scene, a small child going to a fair with his parents. As they arrive during the lively spring season, the village is bustling with people dressed in colorful clothes, all heading towards the fair. The child's excitement is palpable, especially when he sees the stalls filled with toys and sweets. However, the story also touches on important themes like love and attachment. The child's parents, especially his mother, show patience and understanding, calming him when he gets upset or distracted. This reflects the strong bond of affection they share. A key point here is how the child's curiosity leads him to explore more, causing him to lag behind his parents. This detail is crucial because it emphasizes how easily children can become engrossed in their surroundings, which can sometimes lead to situations like getting lost. Connecting this to our overall theme, it reminds us of the importance of attentiveness and care when dealing with children. Their innocence and love for exploration are beautiful, but they also require guidance and protection. This story encapsulates that balance perfectly. As we continue, let's focus on what happens as the child moves forward in the fair. He's curious about all the stalls around him, and you can see his excitement build. His eyes light up at the sight of sweets decorated with gold and silver leaves. Imagine how tempting they look. Naturally, he wants his favorite burfi, but he's also aware of his parents' expectations. He thinks they might see him as greedy if he asks, so he chooses to walk ahead without requesting it. Next, he spots beautiful garlands of gulmohar flowers, bright and colorful, and he doesn't ask for those either. Then he notices balloons, big, cheerful balloons that seem to dance in the air. But again, he knows his parents might say no, thinking he's too old to play with balloons, so he moves on. He then comes across a snake charmer and a roundabout swing. As he stops to ask his parents if he can enjoy the swing, he's shocked to realize there's no response. No father, no mother. This is a turning point. He suddenly understands that he is lost. He starts running around, feeling scared and overwhelmed because the place is crowded and he can't find his parents anywhere. Just when he's about to feel completely frightened, a kind man notices him crying and gently picks him up, offering comfort. The man asks if he'd like to go for a joyride, but all the child can do is sob and say, "I want my father, I want my mother." The man then offers sweets, balloons, and garlands, things that typically bring joy. But the child's only concern remains the same. He just wants his parents. This part of the story highlights the innocence and dependence of a child and reminds us how crucial parental presence is for a child's sense of security. It also ties into the overall theme of safety, trust, and the importance of being attentive to children in crowded, lively environments. Let's take a closer look at the character sketch of the parents in this scenario. The father appears to be a strict disciplinarian, which means he enforces rules firmly and doesn't easily give in to his child's demands for toys and sweets. He's essentially the head of the family, and both his wife and child tend to accept his decisions without question. This suggests a family dynamic where authority is centralized and obedience is expected. The father seems to be leading the family, expecting everyone to follow his lead without hesitation. On the other hand, the mother is portrayed as a typical loving mother. She tries to soften her child's disappointment by diverting his attention away from the objects he desires. This shows her nurturing nature and her effort to maintain harmony. However, she seems to be caught in a bit of a dilemma. She's torn between her husband's strictness and her child's wishes. This internal conflict is evident as she struggles to keep pace with her husband's authority while also trying to protect her child from straying or getting upset. There's a moment where her attention appears to waver, especially when her child gets separated from her. This detail highlights the emotional tension and the delicate balance she tries to maintain between discipline and affection. Overall, these character sketches help us understand how family dynamics, authority, and emotional responses shape behavior and interactions within this context. It's a reminder of the influence that parental roles and relationships have on a child's development and perception of authority. Let's talk about the child in this scene. He is very young, full of joy and excitement at the thought of visiting the fair. You can imagine how everything around him, the sights and sounds, are incredibly captivating. Like most children his age, he's easily attracted to anything that catches his eye, whether it's a sweetmeat or a dragonfly fluttering by. Despite this curiosity, he's quite obedient and disciplined. He doesn't throw tantrums if he doesn't get what he demands, showing a level of restraint and understanding. However, things take a turn when he realizes he's lost his parents. That moment of separation causes him to break down into tears. He makes a valiant effort to find them, almost getting trampled in the crowd at the temple. It's a tense and emotional scene, highlighting how quickly the things that once seemed so exciting, like the sights and sounds, lose all meaning when he's separated from his loved ones. This scene really connects to the overall theme of how young children experience the world, full of wonder, yet vulnerable to the chaos around them. It reminds us of the importance of safety and attentiveness, especially in busy, vibrant environments like fairs or temples. Now, let's turn our attention to the stranger. At first glance, he appears to be a kind-hearted man. You can see him carefully rescuing the lost child who's just been wandering under the feet of the bustling crowd outside the temple. What stands out is his genuine concern. He's trying hard to comfort the child, to stop his tears from falling. You notice he's offering all the goodies from the fair, clearly doing his best to cheer the child up. This act of kindness highlights something important: his sincere desire to help and to reunite the child with his parents. This scene really connects to our overall theme, how acts of kindness and compassion can make a difference, especially in moments of distress. The stranger's actions remind us that sometimes a simple act of care can bring about hope and restore trust. It's a powerful example of empathy in action, and it underscores the importance of looking out for others, even strangers. Now let's take a closer look at the asset questions on this slide. First, we have multiple choice questions. The first one asks about the synonym of trembled. The options are slithered, convulsed, glided, and slipped. The key here is to understand that trembled refers to a shaking or shivering motion, so the correct synonym would be convulsed. Next, we have a question about antonyms for the word free. The options are congested, closed, crammed, and packed. Since free means not restricted, the opposite would be congested or crammed, which imply being filled or crowded. The most suitable antonym here is congested. Moving on to vocabulary questions, the first one involves the word jostled. The sentence says, "Men jostled each other," and asks for its meaning. Jostled means to bump against or push roughly, so the correct answer is bumped against. Finally, there's a question about a figure of speech in the phrase mustard field pale like melting gold. The options are metaphor, simile, personification, and repetition. Since the phrase uses like to compare the field to melting gold, it's a clear example of a simile. These questions are designed to test your understanding of vocabulary, synonyms, antonyms, and figures of speech, which are all vital components of language comprehension. Connecting these concepts to the broader theme of language mastery helps us appreciate how nuanced and rich our language can be. When the boy reached near the fair, it appeared lively and colorful, full of bright lights and bustling crowds. He was both excited and overwhelmed by the vibrant atmosphere, reacting with curiosity and a bit of awe. The child was in a distressed state near the shrine, feeling lost and anxious, unsure of where to go or whom to ask for help. His situation highlighted his vulnerability and the importance of compassion in such moments. When the boy was taken to the sweet seller's shop, a kind act was performed. The seller offered him some sweets and comfort, which helped to soothe his nerves and reminded us of the importance of kindness and helping those in need, especially children in distress. After running back and forth, the boy searched for his parents with a mix of hope and desperation. He kept looking around, trying to find any familiar faces, but it was difficult because the place was so crowded. His search was tiring, but he didn't give up. When he finally made a wish for the roundabout, he experienced a shock. Instead of feeling happy or excited, he realized that his desire might not bring him true happiness. It made him think about what he really wanted and what was more important. Regarding the flower seller, the boy felt a sense of curiosity and kindness towards her. He saw her as a gentle person, but he also understood that his parents might not be interested in her or her simple life. He knew they wouldn't show much concern because they were caught up in their own world. This whole experience highlights the theme of longing and understanding. The boy's search shows his deep desire to reconnect with his parents, while his realization about the roundabout and the flower seller reflects his growing awareness of what truly matters. Today, I want to share a powerful experience that highlights the importance of staying calm and clear-headed in stressful situations. Imagine being lost in a busy, unfamiliar market, feeling completely overwhelmed and scared. The chaos around me made it hard to think, and I could feel my heart pounding. After a frantic search and a lot of worry, I finally found my parents, and the relief was overwhelming. This moment taught me the value of staying calm and trusting that everything will be okay. It also reminded me how important it is to communicate clearly, especially in difficult moments. Experiences like this connect to our overall theme of resilience and the importance of emotional strength in challenging situations.